Dolphins fans, today we are presented by our good friends over at Manscaped. If you go to manscaped.com and use promo code Dolphins, you're going to get 20% off plus free shipping on their new beard hedger. We'll tell you more about that later on in today's show. I am Will Scott. You are watching Dolphins Today. It is Draft Day Eve. I'm going to be watching the Draft Day movie tonight. I don't know about you, Producer Coop. That's a little tradition that I have. We're going to have you covered during the NFL Draft. We're covering the draft from beginning to the end. Going to get you guys a video for every single Dolphin selection. We're going to be live for the Dolphins second round selection, so be sure to subscribe. And at the end of the draft, we're going to get you guys a draft grades video. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Sunday, undrafted free agents, and the Dolphins are going to have a lot of them because they only have 4 draft picks total. That is the sublink right there. Hit the subscribe button below if you want the best Miami Dolphins draft coverage. Could the Dolphins make a big trade during the draft? According to ESPN, it's possible. ESPN says the Dolphins are expected to aggressively pursue Dalvin Cook if the Vikings are looking to trade him during the draft. Here is what ESPN said about the Cook trade rumors. Some people think Miami could get aggressive there if he becomes available because the Vikings have drafted another running back. So I read this and I'm thinking, okay, so I guess we have to root for the Vikings to draft a running back, because if they draft a running back, that probably signals the end of the Dalvin Cook era in Minnesota. And Jahmyr Gibbs, who of course has been linked to the Dolphins as well, he has been linked to the Minnesota Vikings, who have the 23rd overall selection in the first round. So I can tell you this. If Jahmyr Gibbs goes to Minnesota in the first round, Dalvin Cook is getting traded or cut. That is pretty much a guarantee. Now, that's a big difference, because if he gets traded, the Dolphins would have to give up maybe a pick or two to get him. If he gets cut, the Dolphins could get him for no cost. Obviously, they'd have to pay him, but they wouldn't have to give up draft capital. So that's an interesting story to follow during the NFL Draft, which gets started tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be live on our Chat Sports main channel during the draft. I'm going to be hosting that pregame show with Tom Downey, so be sure to tune in for that. That's the sublink, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Go and subscribe. They're going to be live for every single pick, rounds 1 through 7. Going to be a lot of fun. The best draft coverage out there. So we'll see you during our Chat Sports main coverage. Let's break down this trade idea. This is what I think a Dalvin Cook trade would look like. I think the 84th overall selection, which is the Dolphins' lone third-round pick, would get this done. So let's say the Vikings draft a running back in the first or second round, which Patrick Seaman, who's the host of the Minnesota Vikings channel here at Chat Sports, he told me that's very possible. The Dolphins are going to, I should say the Vikings, take a running back early on, which if they do that, Dalvin Cook might be on the move pretty quickly during the draft. Now, would you do this trade, giving up the Dolphins' third-round pick this year for Dalvin Cook? Type D for deal or type ND for no deal down in the comment section. Go down and let me know what you would do. I think this is going to come down to whether or not the Dolphins want to draft a running back or if they would rather have Cook. So they have to choose between maybe one of the running back draft targets or Dalvin Cook. I'm probably choosing Dalvin Cook. And I think this is a really good running back class. But, man, if you have the choice between Dalvin Cook or, let's say, Devin Achane or Tyjae Spears or Tank Bigsby, Dalvin Cook's just the safer bet. He's expected to be fully healthy this year. I understand he's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than a third-round rookie running back would. But that's the decision that Miami has to make this week in Chris Grier. Would they rather trade for Dalvin Cook, or would they rather draft a running back in the second or third round? Because there's certainly a lot of good running back draft prospects. But the best prospect out there is brought to you by Manscaped, and it is the Beard Hedger. I love this thing. I keep my beard looking fresh. I use this thing every other day. to keep my beard looking good. Producer Coop, would you say my beard's looking fresh today?
Your beard looks great.
I appreciate that, Producer Coop. That's because of the Beard Hedger, and you can get it right now at Manscaped.com. If you use promo code Dolphins, everyone who saw the Super Bowl knows what can happen if you do not take care of your poorly managed grass. That's pretty funny. That type of ball playing field quality would never happen with the Lawnmower 4.0, which is also available on Manscaped.com in addition to the Beard Hedger. And in this season of trimming the roster, Manscaped will make sure cutting all the right players and not having any important pieces to your D. Love the Lawnmower 4.0. I love the Beard Hedger. I use both. The Beard Hedger, go and pick it up. It's brand new at Manscaped.com. Promo code Dolphins for 20% off plus free shipping. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Going back to Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook is a Dolphin. I really do. And some of y'all have been calling me out on Twitter like, oh, you've said everyone's a Dolphin. Dalvin Cook is a Dolphin. I'm just going to let you know that right now. I think it's inevitable that Dalvin Cook is going to be a Miami Dolphin. The question is it going to happen via trade or after he gets cut? We'll break down some more of my thoughts here in a second because the Dolphins are going to have to figure out, whether to draft a running back or take, or I should say, trade for Dalvin Cook. Now let's get into some Dolphin draft rumors, and we'll talk about another running back here. Could the Dolphins trade up for Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs? That's certainly something that we continue to hear a lot about. The rumors have been loud about the Dolphins' interest in Gibbs. We heard that from Peter King the other day. Now we're hearing it from Benjamin Allbright, who says they would love to get back in the first round and draft Jahmyr Gibbs. When he was asked about the Dolphins' draft plans, that was his response. So both Peter King and Benjamin Allbright, both NFL insiders, have said Miami would love to trade up for Jahmyr Gibbs. He's likely going late first round. Now, Miami re-signed all four running backs, and they've also been linked to Dalvin Cook. So they have some options here. But I'll say this. Why would the Dolphins trade up 25 spots to get Jahmyr Gibbs, who, again, is probably going to be a first-round pick, when they can just trade for Dalvin Cook? You're going to have to give up maybe your first-round pick next year to move up and get Jahmyr Gibbs this year. Why do that? When you have Dalvin Cook that you can potentially get for a third-round pick, I would much rather trade for Dalvin Cook than go up way in the draft, 25, maybe 20 spots or so, and take Jahmyr Gibbs. Here are some more realistic options as we've discussed. These could be second and third round targets. Devon Achane from Texas A&M, Sean Tucker from Syracuse. Sean, his stock is interesting. I could see him going third. I could also see him falling to the sixth. Tyjae Spears from Tulane, Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, and Auburn's Tank Bigsby. Now, this is an interesting question. Would you rather trade up for Jahmyr Gibbs or trade for Dalvin Cook? Type G for Gibbs or type C for Cook down in the comment section. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So when ad break comes, go and take advantage. Would you rather trade up for Jahmyr Gibbs or trade for Dalvin Cook? I think it's in Miami's best interest to get this Dalvin Cook situation figured out fast. Because if they can get Dalvin Cook next week, if he gets cut or traded, then you shouldn't be drafting a running back in the second or third round. So that's kind of the dilemma the Dolphins have now. They don't know for sure what's going to happen with Cook. And if they don't know, it's hard to kind of approach the draft strategy. So best case scenario, the Dolphins figure out a way to get Dalvin Cook, and then you can address some other needs in this draft. But it's certainly in Miami's best interest to get that figured out sooner rather than later. Now, when you're talking about trading up for somebody, I know we just talked about the possibility of trading up for Jahmyr Gibbs, but there's only one guy in this draft class that I'm trading up for, and it's Georgia tight end Darnell Washington. This guy's an absolute freak, second highest athleticism score amongst all tight ends at the Combine, ran a 4.64 40. The dude can block, he can catch, he can do it all as a tight end and could be a star tight end for you day one, would be a great Mike Gesicki replacement. And before the Combine, we were talking about him as a legit option at 51. He's not falling to number 51. But if you have to trade up to get him, that is the one guy that I'm willing to trade up and give up your little draft capital to get. You only have 4 draft picks. Going to be tough to move up. But that's the one guy that I would move up for. Georgia tight end Darnell Washington, one of my favorite players in this entire draft class. Be sure to subscribe. They trade up tomorrow night. We're certainly going to go live. So stay tuned for our draft coverage, youtube.com/Dolphins News.